Okay. And then the really interesting troll, I've got to quote this one, they found that if mothers consumed dark chocolate daily during pregnancy, they reported that their babies were better behaved at 6 months. Now this may be because the mothers were all like high on chocolate, but maybe the babies better behaved. I don't know, it's interesting. Right, traditional uses of chocolate, which sort of cross over with this a bit. The traditional chocolate drinks and cacao were used in Mexico and Central America to help weight gain. That's usually after illness, so not something to worry about if you're kind of thinking, oh, I can't eat chocolate because I'm overweight. Well, probably not good to binge on it, but it's all right to have a bit of it. But it was used for weight gain, and that may be because some of the compounds in chocolate have this beneficial effect, or seem to, on the immune system, and got lots of nutrients in it, lots of calcium, lots of magnesium, lots of fat, lots of protein. It was also used for dysentery and diarrhea. Well, the cacao, the seed on its own, is quite astringent, it's quite binding. Chocolate that you eat over the counter, less so, because obviously there's the added fat, there's a bit of sugar, it's not going to have that effect. But if you have a really bitter dark chocolate, it can be a bit constipating, even so. It was used for snake bite, interestingly. Sounds a bit mad, but then, as we've said, some of the scientific research so far backs up that chocolate affects the immune system, it stimulates the nervous system, protects nerve cells, and also reduces inflammation at moderate amounts. So they used to use cacao beverages with other plants, not on their own, as a prophylactic against certain kinds of snakebite, which is interesting. Deserves more research. I wouldn't recommend it if you're going to go out to some foreign country and say, I've got loads of chocolate with me, I don't need antivenom. Probably not. But, and then finally, they used to use it for breastfeeding, for breastfeeding mothers. Okay, well, unfortunately, there's no such thing as a panacea, so there are a few people or a few conditions in which chocolate isn't really good, and those would be migraine, because chocolate contains tyramine. That's a well-recognised thing. It's a substance which can aggravate or bring on migraines. Gout, that's just because the caffeine and theobromine in chocolate, when they're broken down, are turned into uric acid, and gout is a condition due to having excess uric acid in the body, and it will tend to exacerbate it. And irritable bowel syndrome in some individuals, and that, as I say, may be because some of these trace amines in chocolate stimulate the bowel a bit. So unfortunately it's not a panacea, but very interestingly, I think, interesting to me anyway, the migraine thing, in Mexico, when I went over to Mexico, I chatted to an old herbalist in one of the markets, and she told me that one of the prescriptions for migraine involved drinking a strong chocolate drink once a week made with a turkey egg. Sounds a little bit crazy, but turkey contains loads and loads and loads of tryptophan, which is a substance which, when it's eaten, ingested, is transformed into serotonin, another brain chemical which is involved somehow in the etiology of migraine. So basically, it's possible that chocolate used in certain ways could be used as a preventative of migraine, but I wouldn't rely on that or use it until we know more. But it's used in some prescriptions in Mexico as a preventative on a sort of regular basis. So finally, I just wanted to move on to the big black and white pie of death here. This is a slightly stale pie. It's a little old because it's from 1995 and from Canada, but the statistics are sort of roughly comparable to today. It's just to illustrate a point, really. I was just going to speculate, what if there were a food substance which is quite nice tasting, which most people liked, which if eaten on a regular basis could reduce the causes of death, or the statistical causes of death, by from about two-thirds of the different causes of death. So if we look here, we've got heart attacks and strokes, cardiovascular events, 37% of all causes of death. Diabetes, less so, about 3%. Various forms of cancer, 28%. Obviously lung cancer is a big one for that. And presumably in other, we have suicide somewhere there, so obviously associated with depression. So yeah, I just wonder if there was anything that we could eat on a regular basis which might reduce the incidence of some of those causes of death. That's I think how I'm going to leave it. So thanks. That's it. Okay, I've been told, reminded that Q&A, should do a Q&A now. So any questions? All right. Yeah. How much is moderate? Good question. Well, I think moderate, from the studies about inflammation, they defined as about 20 grams 3 times a week, which isn't very much really, is it? It's about 3 little green and black bars 3 times a week. But as I said, the studies on longevity in animals and the ones on depression in animals, like the depressed rats there and stuff, and the ones on humans with the cardiovascular benefits use daily consumption of chocolate. So the moderate is, I would say you can be more than moderate if you're using it for sort of depression or for the benefits, the protective benefits of the cardiovascular system. So, it's okay. Brilliant. Okay. Yes. Good question. So percentage, I would say, as the sort of chocolate pie suggested, and as I went on to talk about the sugar, that the more cacao, the more bitter the dark chocolate is, the better really in terms of the medicinal stuff. So 85%, that's often too bitter, but I'd say between 70 and 85%. 70% chocolate is usually acceptably sweet for most people, that's kind of fine. 85% is usually, a lot of people, it's too bitter. But yeah, so 70 to 85. And any other ingredients that are... Oh yeah, no, yeah, thank you. Yes, there are some chocolates that the better chocolates will use cocoa butter, the fat from the cocoa bean. They're better just because it not only tastes better, but the cocoa fat doesn't raise dodgy cholesterol. It doesn't raise LDL cholesterol, even though it's a saturated fat. A lot of the cheap cocoa chocolate bars will use palm oil or other solid fats because they're less expensive. They tend to slightly affect the taste of the chocolate, but also they're not so good for the cholesterol point of view. They will raise cholesterol a bit. So from other ingredient point of view, a good chocolate bar should just contain cocoa, as in cocoa mass, sugar, and cocoa butter, sorry about that again, and a bit of lecithin, maybe, as an emulsifier, and that's it. Oh yes, okay, yes. There's a few chocolate shops, so everyone can quaff one of those if they want. It's basically a chocolate tincture. That's just an extract of the cocoa bean, which is quite bitter, with a bit of rose syrup, which is sweet and tastes nice, and a tiny bit of chili in it, just a tiny bit, but it gives it a nice kick. Now the way to drink those, if you're going to have one, is just to have it all in one. Just a little mood lifter, kind of nice. So go ahead.
I didn't realise there's so much science in chocolate, guys. Cheers.